The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. Jesus came to Capernaum with his followers, and on the Sabbath he entered the synagogue and taught. The people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. In their synagogue was a man with an unclean spirit. He cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus rebuked him and said, "Quiet, come out of him." The unclean spirit convulsed him, and with a loud voice, with a loud cry, came out of him. All were amazed and asked one another, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." His fame spread everywhere throughout the whole region of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord. Seems like we've kind of gone back a little bit in the first reading today from the prophets, from the reading of Samuel, because it talks about Hannah asking for a child, and we had kind of those prophecies just prior to Christmas. But there's different maybe aspects that you can think of when you think of some of these readings. I said, the scriptures can be read 2 different days, and you get two different inspirations from them too. I think one of these ones, one of these obviously is just the reliance on God. That she felt that God had abandoned her, but she never abandoned God, even thinking that. She continued to pray and asked the Lord, to please let me have a child. Take away this, this what was usually considered to be like a scourge, that if a woman was not able to bear a child. And her husband actually had another wife who bore children, so the other wife was always making fun of her because I have children and you don't. And it's just kind of human nature being what it is, how sometimes we tease and mistreat one another. And even sometimes take advantage of their misfortune, which is really what she was doing. I also think it's kind of strange too when I'm trying to think of when you read the scriptures, how this this priest kind of jumps to conclusions too. Well, you're drunk. You don't see that in the scriptures too often. And she says, "No, I'm not." She said, "I'm just so sad and sorrowing, and I'm praying. And just because my lips are moving and nothing's coming out verbally doesn't mean that, I've been drinking." She said, "I've been praying. I'm praying, asking God to remove this curse from me." So even a couple little lessons from that you can take from these different readings. Sometimes we jump to conclusions. Sometimes we make fun of other people. Sometimes we, mistreat them or take advantage of maybe even their misfortunes. Even those can be lessons that we can learn from the scriptures. And it's interesting today too, the responsorial psalm today is not really a psalm. It's a continuation of the reading from Samuel. This is Hannah's canticle of praise after she does conceive and have a child. She thanks the Lord. "My heart exalts in the Lord. My horn is exalted in my God. I rejoice in my victory." And then she goes on to say how the Lord takes care of his people and how the Lord has intervened in the history of people throughout the world. The Lord puts to death and gives life. He casts down, he raises up. The Lord makes poor, he makes rich. He raises the needy from the dust. He seats them with nobles. It's just a canticle of praise and exaltation. And it's kind of nice that every now and then we kind of put one of these in. So it's really almost a continuation of the first reading, her response to the Lord's blessings. The gospel reading is kind of a nice reading too. It just talks about in the early ministry of Jesus how people were impressed by how he taught, for one thing. He teaches with authority. He teaches in his authority, and his words do have power. When he speaks to unclean spirits, they are cast out. And so even very initially, they recognize there's something different about this man. There's something different about him. He teaches with authority, and unclean spirits listen to him. And therefore, it's kind of the beginning of, we have to follow this person and see where this goes. And we have to learn more about him. We have to know what he's teaching us and recognize that there's something different about this man. I just kind of love that expression. There's just something different about this man. Let's now stand for the intercessions.